Saving Private Ryan is a 1998 American epic war film directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Robert Rodat. Set during the Battle of Normandy in World War II, the film is known for its graphic portrayal of war, especially its depiction of the Omaha Beach assault during the Normandy landings. The film follows United States Army Rangers Captain John H. Miller, Tom Hanks, and his squad, Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel, Adam Goldberg, and Jeremy Davies, as they search for a paratrooper, Private First Class James Francis Ryan, Matt Damon, the last surviving brother of four, the three other brothers having been killed in action. The film was a co-production between DreamWorks Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Amblin Entertainment, and Mutual Film Company. DreamWorks distributed the film in North America while Paramount released the film internationally. Rodat first wrote the script in 1994 after reading upon the Nilland brothers, and by 1996, producer Mark Gordon acquired the rights to Rodat's script. After 11 rewrites, Gordon began developing the project at Paramount. 3. Spielberg, who at the time was forming DreamWorks, was eventually hired by Paramount to direct the film while DreamWorks would co-finance as part of a deal. After the cast went through training supervised by Marine veteran Dale Dye, the film's principal photography started in June 1997 and lasted 2 months. The film's D-Day scenes were shot in Ballinesker Beach, Curracloe Strand, Ballinesker, just east of Curracloe, County Wexford, Ireland, and used members of the Irish Army Reserve as extras to portray infantry for the D-Day landing. Despite facing stiff competition from numerous films such as Godzilla, Lethal Weapon 4 and Armageddon, Saving Private Ryan became the highest-grossing film of 1998 in the United States with $216.8 million domestically and the second highest-grossing film of 1998 worldwide with $485 million worldwide, behind Armageddon. The film received critical acclaim from critics and audiences, who praised the performances, realism, cinematography, score, screenplay, and Spielberg's direction. Topping many film critics' 1998 top 10 lists and winning numerous awards, Saving Private Ryan won 5 Academy Awards, including Spielberg's second Academy Award for Best Director, though it lost the Academy Award for Best Picture to Shakespeare in Love in a controversial Oscars upset. The film solidified Damon's rising star power and would strengthen a collaborative relationship between Spielberg and Hanks, while the film also helped Diesel launch his career. In the years since its release, Saving Private Ryan has maintained its reputation as one of the most influential films of the 1990s, one of the greatest war and action films of all time, and one of the greatest films ever made, and some declaring it as Spielberg's best film. Hailed as an influential landmark in the war and action film genres, the film helped depict war and action scenes with a stronger emphasis on realism while helping influence cinematography due to its use of desaturated colors, handheld cameras, and tight angles. It has also been credited for renewing interest in World War II media, particularly World War II-themed first-person shooter games that became popular in the 2000s. In 2007, the American Film Institute ranked Saving Private Ryan as the 71st greatest American movie in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, 10th Anniversary Edition, and in 2014, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Plot: an elderly veteran visits the Normandy cemetery with his family. At a specific grave, he is overcome with emotion and begins to recall his time as a soldier. On the morning of June 6, 1944, the U.S. Army lands at Omaha Beach as part of the Normandy invasion. Captain John H. Miller leads his command, Company C, 2nd Ranger Battalion in a breakout from the beach. The staff at the United States Department of War learns that James Francis Ryan of the 101st Airborne Division is missing and presumed to be the last survivor of 4 brothers who are all in the military. General George C. Marshall orders Ryan to be found and sent home so that his family will not lose all its sons. Miller is ordered to lead a detachment in finding Ryan. As they arrive in the contested town of Neuville between German defenders and the 101st Airborne, Caparzo is killed by a German sniper. Miller and his men find a paratrooper named Ryan, but he is not the one for whom they are searching, and they are directed to a rally point where James Francis Ryan's unit should be. Miller learns that Ryan is defending a key bridge in the town of Rommel. En route, Miller decides against the judgment of his soldiers to neutralize a German machine gun nest, which results in Wade's death. A surviving German soldier is spared by the intervention of Upham, the detachment's interpreter, who is unused to the horrors of combat. Miller blindfolds the soldier, who has been nicknamed Steamboat Willie, and orders him to surrender to the next Allied patrol. When Riben threatens to desert, Miller diffuses the situation by calmly telling a story that reveals his civilian background as a teacher and baseball coach, of which he has not previously spoken, and which has been the subject of much speculation among his men. Upon arriving in Rommel, Miller's detachment makes contact with Ryan and informs him of his brother's deaths. Though upset, Ryan refuses to abandon his post, which soon comes under siege by attacking Germans. Miller assumes command as the only officer present. He and his unit fight alongside the 101st, but the German armor advantage takes a toll on the Americans and Jackson and Horvath are killed. Mellish is stabbed to death by an SS soldier as Upham fails to intervene. Later, Steamboat Willie shoots and wounds Miller as Miller attempts to destroy a bridge with pre-placed explosives. American P-51 Mustang fighter planes and Sherman tanks eventually overpower the Germans and end their advance. Upham confronts Steamboat Willie, who attempts to talk Upham into letting him go again. Now aware of the difficult choices soldiers make in wartime, Upham shoots and kills him. The mortally wounded Miller tells Ryan to earn this, referring to the sacrifices others have made so that Ryan can have a post-war life. Ryan is revealed to be the elderly veteran and the grave to be Miller's. Ryan expresses gratitude for the sacrifices made by Miller and his men, says he hopes he earned it, and salutes the grave. Portrayal of History. Saving Private Ryan is noted for its recreation of the Omaha Beach landings. The historical representation of Charlie Company's actions, led by its commander, Captain Ralphie Goranson, is considered to be well maintained in the opening sequence. The sequence and details of the events are very close to the historical record, including the seasickness experienced by many of the soldiers as the landing craft moved toward the shoreline, the significant casualties among the men as they disembarked from the boats, and their difficulty linking up with adjacent units on the shore. The distinctive ping of the U.S. soldiers' M1 Garand rifles ejecting their ammunition clips is heard throughout the battle sequence. Many details of the company's actions were depicted accurately. For instance, the correct code names for the sector Charlie Company assaulted, and adjacent sectors, were used. Included in the cinematic depiction of the landing was a follow-on mission of clearing a bunker and trench system at the top of the cliffs, which was not part of the original mission objectives for Charlie Company, but which was undertaken after the assault on the beach. The landing craft used included 12 actual World War II examples, 10 LCVPs and 2 LCMs, standing in for the British LCAs that the Ranger companies rode into the beach during Operation Overlord. The filmmakers used underwater cameras to better depict soldiers being hit by bullets in the water. 40 barrels of fake blood were used to simulate the effect of blood in the seawater. This degree of realism was more difficult to achieve when depicting World War II German armored vehicles, as few examples survive in operating condition. The Tiger I tanks in the film were copies built on the chassis of old, but functional, Soviet T-34 tanks. 38. The two vehicles described in the film as Panzers were meant to portray Marder III tank destroyers. One was created for the film using the chassis of a Czech-built Panzer 38T tank similar to the construction of the original Marder III, the other was a cosmetically modified Swedish Saab M/43 assault gun, which also used the 38T chassis. There are some historical inaccuracies in the film's depiction of the Normandy campaign. At the time of the mission, U.S. forces from the two American beach areas, Utah and Omaha, had not yet linked up. In reality, a Ranger team operating out of the Omaha Beach area would have had to move through the German-occupied city of Carrington, or swim or boat across the estuary linking Carrington to the English Channel, or transfer by boat to the Utah landing area. On the other hand, U.S. forces moving out of Utah Beach would have had direct and much shorter routes, relatively unencumbered by enemy positions, and were already in contact with some teams from both U.S. airborne divisions landed in the area. In contrast, the Utah Beach landings were relatively uncontested, with assault units landing on largely unoccupied beaches and experiencing far less action than the landings at Omaha. The filmmakers chose to begin the narrative with a depiction of the more dramatic story of Omaha, despite the historical inaccuracies it would create. In addition, the film depicts the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich as the adversary during the fictional Battle of Rommel. In fact, there is no town called Rommel and the 2nd SS was not engaged in Normandy until July, and then at Caen against the British and Canadians, 100 miles to the east, 160 kilometers. Furthermore, the Merdere River bridges were not an objective of the 101st Airborne Division but of the 82nd Airborne Division, part of Mission Boston. Much has also been said about various tactical errors made by both the German and American forces in the film's climactic battle. Spielberg responded by saying that in many scenes he opted to replace sound military tactics and strict historical accuracy for dramatic effect. Some other technical errors were also made, such as reversing the orientation of the German beach barriers and obstructions, metal hedgehogs and wooden stakes and tripod ramps. In the ruined village of Ramel, a spelling mistake in French can be observed on a mural advertisement, where the word estomac is erroneously spelled as stomach. Reception. Box office. Saving Private Ryan was released in 2,463 theaters on July 24, 1998, and grossed $30.5 million on its opening weekend, opening to number 1 and remained at the top for 4 weeks until Blade topped the film in its 5th week of release. It also became the third R-rated film to reach $200 million at the domestic box office, following Beverly Hills Cop and Terminator 2: Judgment Day. The film grossed $216.5 million in the US and Canada and $268.7 million in other territories, bringing its worldwide total to $485 million. It was the second highest grossing film of 1998 worldwide, finishing behind Armageddon. Box Office Mojo estimates that the film sold over 45.74 million tickets in the United States and Canada.